The Mirelands is young enough that its edges still argue with the sea. By day, a great sun rules the sky with patient heat, while a smaller sun follows far behind it. Faint, stubborn, like a second thought that refuses to leave. By night, the world belongs to three moons. They do not rise together. They do not keep the same paths. Each follows its own long orbit, and people learn their movements the way sailors learn reefs. The silver moon comes most often, cold and clean, turning rivers to blade metal and stone to pale bone. The green moon is dimmer and stranger. Under it, dreams sharpen, beasts grow restless, and the ground seems to listen. The red moon, it's the worst. It comes low, it comes rarely, and it never comes quietly. When the red moon rises, the marsh begins to wake. Deep beneath the black water and root-choked mud, the Dreadspines stir, ancient plated things that spend almost all their lives below the swamp, listening through earth and water for the tremor of living flesh. They do not hunt the open land. They do not leave the mire lightly. But under the red moon, they come up. And when they come up, kingdoms close their gates. Roads near the marsh are abandoned. Patrols are recalled. Watchfires burn through the night, and no sane soul lingers near the reeds. Because the red moon does not bring monsters into the Mirelands. It gives the Mirelands back to them. That was the danger. The worst thing was this. The red moon was not due yet. Fog drifted low across reed and granite, turning the border ridge into a half-seen wound between marsh and stone. The two patrols spotted each other at nearly the same moment. Elves on the eastern rise, Orcs on the western track. Bows lifted, axes loosened, no one fired.
The marsh has moved again. I walked the lower ridge at dawn, water where grass stood last season.
The hunting trails are drowning. I saw no deer tracks this morning.
The swamp is stealing the land piece by piece. Soon it will steal the game with it.
That is why we patrol tonight. North Ridge first. We see how far the mire has crawled. Or we solve the problem now, once and for all.
Oh, and how would you do that?
We should burn it to the ground.
Haha, burn it. Are you planning to set fire to water, you brainless Nool?
Haha, careful, Grash. If Braka learns to burn water, the shamans will make him chief.
Laugh while you can. Fire solves most problems.
Not this one. The swamp would drink the flames and spit smoke in your face.
Enough. We are not here to test Braka's cooking skills.
Then what is the plan?
We watch the marsh edge. If it has pushed farther north, we cut channels through the ridgestone and bleed the water away.
Digging trenches like farmers.
Farmers eat, dead warriors do not.
Exactly. The marsh scares the herds away. If the animals leave, winter will finish what the swamp started. Fine, we walk the ridge. But if I find a way to burn it, you will all thank me.
If you burn the swamp, Braka, I will carve your name into a mountain.
Enough noise. Take your axes. We move for the ridge.
Across the marsh on the eastern rise, the elves had seen the same change. Where forest roots once held firm earth, black water had begun to gather. Reeds crept between the trees. The smell of rot carried deeper into the groves each season. The swamp was not only growing, it was beginning to swallow the forest.
The mire has crossed the stone markers again. I counted 3 trees already rotting at the edge.
The roots cannot breathe in that water. Another season like this and the forest will begin to die.
The wardens warned us. The marsh has spread farther this year than in the last.
Then we cannot wait any longer. We will move stone along the reeds. Dig trenches if we must. Anything to turn the water away from the roots.
It will slow the swamp.
Slowing it may be enough. If the mire reaches the inner groves, the Dreadspines will not stay buried much longer.
Then we should confirm the edge tonight.
Yes, we walk the northern ridge and see how far the swamp has crept.
The marsh ended where the land rose into broken granite, reeds and black water pressed from the south. Cold stone and narrow mountain paths began to the north. Between them ran a thin ridge of ground, half swamp, half rock, claimed by neither forest nor mire. It was the only place where patrols from both lands could see how far the marsh had crept. And on that narrow spine of earth, 2 watches arrived at the same time. Elves from the eastern rise, Orcs from the western track. Bows lifted, axes loosened.
One more step, and I will assume your patrol has mistaken our restraint for weakness. I would advise you, Orc, to correct that mistake before someone here loses a hand.
You speak as if the ridge belongs to you because your boots are cleaner. It does not. Mud does not become elven land just because you glare at it long enough. We came to watch the marsh, not trade lessons in arrogance. If your people can still tell the difference, keep your archer still and your pride tied shut.
That is rich coming from creatures who enter every border, as if noise alone were a legal claim. You pound across the earth like a challenge thrown at the sky, then act surprised when someone answers it.
Better noise than whispering. At least when an orc speaks, the world knows where we stand. Your kind hides behind trees, half-truths, and polished words, then calls that honor.
Honor is knowing where to stop. That is why our dead are buried with their names, while yours are dragged into songs loud enough to cover the smell.
Keep talking like that, elf, and I will show you how loudly a ridge can scream when your teeth hit stone. I did not march here to be judged by a people who mistake thin blood for refinement.
And I did not wake this morning hoping to be lectured by a walking fortress with the manners of a kicked door. Yet here we both are disappointed together.
A few of the orcs laughed under their breath. Grosh bared his teeth.
Careful, archer. Sharp tongues are useful only until something stronger decides to pull them out.
Enough, be quiet for a moment.
Nobody moved. Mire's eyes stayed on the ground.
I said quiet. The stone is carrying something.
If that is your way of ending an argument, little scout, I almost admire it.
Speak clearly, Mire.
There is movement below us, not marching, not hoofbeats. It feels wrong.
I can feel it too.
A faint vibration passed through the granite under their boots. Very slight.
Probably shifting mud. The marsh groans like old timber when the water turns.
No. If it were only the marsh, the reeds would answer first. This is deeper.
What are you saying?
Esteti kept her eyes on the dark line where the reeds thickened into black water.
I am saying it feels too large.
Too large for what?
For anything that should be this close to the ridge.
Do not start ghost tales now. Dreadspines do not come this far toward open ground, and they do not rise without warning.
Maybe it is a very big frog.
Silence hangs for a moment. Several elves blink. Grash snorts.
A frog.
A very large one. I once saw a frog swallow a rat whole.
Braca, if a frog that size lived in this swamp, it would have eaten you years ago.
A few elves fail to hide small laughs. Grash grins.
Look at that. The fool has made the elves laugh.
Good. That means they are less likely to shoot us.
Your companion speaks more wisely than he realizes.
Ha! Do not encourage him. His wisdom grows worse when watered.
Careful, Braca. At this rate, the elves may adopt you.
Ha! If they do, I will teach them how to fight properly.
I suspect the lessons would be memorable.
A few of the elves laugh again. Grash bares his teeth.
Enough. Be quiet for a moment.
Nobody moves. Mire's eyes remain on the ground.
Perhaps the frog returned and brought company.
If you say frog again, I will throw you into the swamp to test the theory.
Could be a giant eel.
Stop helping.
The ground shakes.
Urzak's Direfang lifted its head and growled softly at the dark sky. Long before any of them understood why, the fog shifts. At first it seems like dusk has thickened too suddenly. Then the color changes. Not gold. Not shadow. Red. A rust-colored glow spreads slowly through the mist, staining reeds, armor, and faces alike. Nobody speaks for one breath. Then Esteti looks up.
No.
No.
That cannot be.
Not here.
Why is everything red? Red moon.
Back from the marsh. Now.
Everything turned red.
Move! Forget the ridge!
The
Move!
red moon is up.
It came early. The moons do not ask permission.
The ground answers with a deep, living tremor.
That frog is getting very angry.
That is not wind! Move! Get off the mire! They are here!
A plated head bursts from the mire. Mandibles clack.
Dreadspines!
Dreadspines!
Another erupts.
More than one too many. Run, you fool. Run.
Retreat. Back to steady ground.
The patrol lines collapse instantly. Shouts vanish into the fog. Steel rings. Mud swallows boots. People scatter across stone and swamp.
Elf! Move now! Keep your feet under you!
I am moving. Try not to trip over your own pride.
They sprint across the ridge as a massive Dreadspine surges after them.
Towards the mountains! To the stone where it cannot drown us!
That is Direfang territory. Direfangs hunt those cliffs.
Better beasts than spines. Better teeth above ground than mandibles beneath it.
They reach the granite rise where the cold cliffs begin. The Dreadspine climbs after them.
It is following us onto stone. It is climbing like it belongs here.
Red moon makes everything bloodthirsty beasts and monsters.
The creature lunges. Cratius slams his axe into a leg joint. Esteti fires an arrow into a seam. The monster shrieks.
We cannot hold it here. It will pin us against the cliff.
We do not hold it, we kill it! Strike and move! Strike and move!
Something small moves near the rocks. A soft whine.
That is a pup.
Do not go near it! Small things are bait, even when they cry!
The Dreadspine lunges again. Cratius barely blocks the mandibles.
There is no way around this cliff! Attack the head! Better die fighting than dying running!
The pup whines again. A shadow drops from the cliff. A massive Direfang lands on the granite. Another lands beside it. They hit the Dreadspine instantly. Teeth slam into the armored seams. The monster twists violently.
They are helping us. They are protecting the pup from the spine. We have wounded it.
Hit the joints! While the Direfangs hold it!
I'm on it.
One good swing to the head! One to put it resting!
Cratius drives his axe into the exposed joint. Esteti shoots a barrage of arrows straight into the eye seam. The Direfang pair drag the creature sideways. Steel, teeth, and fury tear it apart. The Dreadspine collapses. Silence returns. The female Direfang moves to the pup, immediately checking it. The male watches Esteti and Cratius. Even the beast senses the uneasy alliance, unblinking, growling.
We killed it.
Yeah, good job, Perky One. Do not move suddenly. Breathe slow like stone.
How does stone even breathe quietly? Hearing an orc speak of silence. That is something I never thought I would have to hear.
She slowly pulls dried fruit from her pouch.
Here, easy. We mean no harm. Take it and stay calm.
The Direfang sniffs, turns away.
You're giving the beast dried fruit, huh? I thought I had lived long enough to see everything. This is precious, Perky One.
He pulls smoked meat from his pack and places it on the stone. The Direfang father takes it instantly, chews, then looks at Cratius again. Not hostile, not friendly, accepting.
Ah, now I see clearly the resemblance.
Well, meat just saved your life.
The Direfangs gather the pop and begin moving along the cliffs. Esteti looks at Cratius.
We should follow them,
Because the marsh will kill us if we go back.
because the Direfangs already decided not to. I would like to respect that decision.
Fine. Slow steps. Eyes low. No sudden glory. Perky One.
Ha! Slow all you like, Cratius. Just try not to trip over that famous pride while keeping up with me.
They follow the Direfangs into the mountains. Bows lifted, axes loosened, no one fired.
Bear berries,
Bear berries.
mountain berries. Healthy, safe to eat, mostly.
Cratius crossed his arms.
Mostly is not a word that makes me comfortable.
Esteti picked a few and examined them.
Relax, Orc. They grow on these cliffs. The Direfangs do not eat them, but they leave them alone. That is usually a good sign.
In the marsh we solve that problem differently.
How?
We let Braca eat it first.
Esteti looked at him. For a moment she tried not to burst in laughter.
Haha, that is actually a very effective strategy.
More than once. Braca has saved many lives simply by being foolish before the rest of us.
So he is your tribe's sacred tester of bad decisions.
Braca would be very proud to hear that. He eats anything that stops moving long enough.
That sounds less like bravery and more like hunger.
In the marsh, those are often the same thing. Once he ate a glowing mushroom and sang for 2 days.
Sang.
Loudly? Urzak tied him to a tree to stop him wandering off. Next morning we found Braca apologizing to the tree for leaning on it.
At least Braca understands something important.
Which is?
Trees deserve respect, Brute. Many warriors forget that.
Cratius shrugs.
In my tribe we respect anything old enough to survive our mistake.
That is almost wise.
Do not sound so surprised, Perky One.
Your tribe sounds chaotic.
Only on the quiet days.
I would hate to see the busy ones.
You already did. That was the marsh.
In the mountain cities we test food with scholars.
Scholars. You people risk the clever ones first.
Of course not. We write a book about the berry and wait for someone else to try it.
There it is. Elf method is slower. Orc method is faster.
She handed him a few berries.
If these kill me, I am haunting you.
Or ghosts sound exhausting.
Cratius ate one. He chewed slowly. Esteti watched him carefully.
That is not a reassuring sound.
It tastes like something that should not exist on a mountain.
It means the mountain is teaching us how to live here.
They gathered a few more before continuing along the ridge. The wind grew sharper as night deepened. Eventually they found a shallow cave carved into the granite. It was just large enough for shelter.
It's getting late. We should stay here tonight.
I suspected you would say that.
Cratius gathered dry branches and lit a small fire near the cave mouth. The flames flickered against the stone. Outside, the mountains were silent. Esteti sat near the wall, arms wrapped around herself. The cold crept through the stone. Cratius noticed.
You are shaking.
I am not.
You are.
She glared at him.
Elves are not built for mountain winds.
Orcs are.
He moved closer to the fire, then gestured beside him.
Come here, Perky One.
I am perfectly capable of suffering with dignity.
Another cold gust slipped through the cave. She stopped speaking. Cratius gave her a look. Another cold gust slipped through the cave. She stopped speaking. Cratius gave her a look. The Direfang pair had settled beside the cave mouth. Their great bodies curled around the pup. The warmth of the fire had drawn them closer, and for now they seemed content to share the cave. Cratius then took a small pipe from his pouch and packed it with dark marsh leaf.
Pride freezes faster than flesh.
Esteti sighed and moved closer to the fire. Esteti watched the pipe in his hands. The smell reached her before the smoke did.
What is that?
Marsh leaf.
Esteti leaned a little closer, studying the dark flakes he pressed into the pipe.
Moon leaf.
Your people call it that.
We do.
Orcs cut the plants and beat the resin loose. Makes it stronger.
Elves do not cut it.
No.
We brush the flowers at dawn. The resin clings to the hand.
Another cold gust slipped through the cave. She stopped speaking. Cratius gave her a look. The Direfang pair had settled beside the cave mouth. Their great bodies curled around the pup. The warmth of the fire had drawn them closer, and for now they seemed content to share the cave. Cratius then took a small pipe from his pouch and packed it with dark marsh leaf.
Pride freezes faster than flesh.
Esteti sighed and moved closer to the fire. Esteti watched the pipe in his hands. The smell reached her before the smoke did.
What is that?
Marsh leaf.
Esteti leaned a little closer, studying the dark flakes he pressed into the pipe.
Moonleaf.
Your people call it that.
We do.
Orcs cut the plants and beat the resin loose. Makes it stronger.
Elves do not cut it.
You don't.
We brush the flowers at dawn. The resin clings to the hands.
That sounds slow.
It lets the plant live.
Orcs prefer the faster argument. That is why we are always running out of it.
He leaned toward the fire and lit the pipe. The smoke rose slowly into the cave air. The cold still clung to the stone around them. For the first time since the red moon rose, the night was quiet. Cratius drew slowly from the pipe. The ember glowed red between his fingers. He exhaled toward the cave roof. The smoke curled lazily through the firelight. He offered the pipe.
Careful, Perky One. Orc method is stronger.
I have survived worse than orc.
She took a cautious pull. Immediately she coughed into her sleeve. The Direfang at the cave mouth lifted its head. A low warning rumble filled the cave. Both of them froze. Cratius whispered,
Careful there, Moonleaf Eater.
Esteti tried to hold the cough back. It escaped anyway. A quiet laugh followed it.
That is the plant, not the person.
Right now, I am not convinced.
Esteti pressed her sleeve to her mouth, still smiling.
Then perhaps you packed it too strong.
I packed it for the situation. A cave, beasts at the door, and a perky elf judging me.
The rumble from the Direfang faded, but one golden eye remained half open. Watching, the pup shifted in its sleep and gave a small snort. Cratius nodded toward it.
Your coughing almost started a war.
I was not coughing.
The mountain heard it.
The mountain exaggerates.
She took the pipe again, more carefully this time. A slower pull. No coughing. She handed it back with a small, satisfied nod.
See, elven technique.
That looked like survival, not technique.
Cratius pulled his heavy cloak from his shoulders and wrapped part of it around her. For a moment she froze.
This is highly improper.
You were freezing.
I was maintaining dignity.
Dignity is a poor blanket.
She hesitated, then relaxed slightly under the cloak.
No one hears about this.
No one would believe it.
She nudged him gently.
Good.
The fire cracked softly. Outside, somewhere far across the mountains, a Direfang howled. Neither of them moved. The pipe ember glowed between them. Cratius drew slowly from it and passed it back. Isteti accepted it this time without hesitation. The Direfang at the cave mouth shifted, watching them through half-closed eyes. The pup snorted softly in its sleep. Isteti exhaled a thin ribbon of smoke toward the fire.
Your mountains are colder than I expected,
These are not my mountains.
yet you seem comfortable in them.
Orcs learn quickly how to live beside teeth.
Isteti shifted slightly under the cloak.
Wake me if the wolves decide we are food.
If that happens, you will wake anyway.
She gave a faint, tired smile. The fire burned low. Stone, fur, steel, and smoke shared the cave in uneasy peace. Before long, even the mountains fell quiet.